we've done the infield, which we did the outfield, which I think is pretty darn good. Not too many people pushing back on me yet, but I do like this outfield quite a bit. And we'll end with the pitching, which you know. That's the reason for optimism with the Seattle Mariners. For those who missed the first two videos, and please go check those out. Watch this one and then go check those other ones out. We'll go grades 1 through 5. And I was thinking, you could just do pitching overall. But what I'll do is starting pitching spots 1 through 5. And then I will do the bullpen. And I'll give a grade for both of those. Let's start with SP1, Logan Gilbert. It's a 5. I am predicting Logan Gilbert to win the Cy Young this year. Logan Gilbert was definitely in that conversation, if not for the fact that Tariq Skubal was so good. And look, won't shock me if Tariq Skubal goes back-to-back. Won't shock me if Tariq Skubal wins a few of these. He's really, really, really good. But I like Logan Gilbert a lot. I think he's the second best pitcher in the American League right now. Now, the American League may be having some issues right now, but that's still high praise. His stuff is getting better. His command is getting way better. I hope they let him work deeper into games, and maybe they do. Maybe they do. Hope they do. Wow, voice went high there. Logan Gilbert's really good. I'm giving him a 5. Number 2, and I'll just go in the order that the Mariners have him, and I tend to agree with this. Luis Castillo, I'm giving a 4. Now, Luis Castillo had some ups and downs, and his year ended disappointingly with an injury, but he was still good. He was still really good. Like, the fact that if you went by numbers, Luis Castillo might have been the 5th starter on the Seattle Mariners is incredible. It's really incredible because a lot of teams would have Luis Castillo starting today on opening day. Actually, I'm recording this Wednesday, but let's pretend it's today. I don't know why I even told you that. It's today. I'm recording this on Thursday at 9 a.m. or something. Luis Castillo still has really good stuff. He's got to be more consistent to be the second starter on this team. And it's more about for Luis Castillo because someone is going to be the number 2. Is it Luis Castillo? I'm not 100% convinced, but I think there's a really good chance that it's him. And, I think a lot of people give him crap because he's the one starting pitcher on this team that's making money. Luis Castillo's been worth that contract and then some based on what he's done over the last 2.5 seasons. Like, people quickly forget how good Luis Castillo was in those playoff starts too. It bugs me that Luis Castillo doesn't get more credit. He's really good, and I'm giving him a 4. You could argue a 5, but I'll go a 4. Number 3, it looks like it's Bryce Miller is going to start that third game, and I'll go 5. Bryce Miller is really good. This is such a silly video because it's like, of course all these guys are good. But I don't think Bryce Miller got enough attention to how good he was down the stretch. And the big thing for me was how much more confident I was about he and the next guy on this list, how well they pitched against good teams. That stuff and that command played well against good baseball teams and against right-handed pitching. He got lefties and righties out. There you go. Those are the words that a person who is talking on YouTube should be able to say. I won't be shocked if Bryce Miller takes a step forward. I will also say if Bryce Miller is just the pitcher that he is right now, what a great third starter. What a great third starter. And you could argue that he might be the 5th. This is the thing about all these guys, except for Logan Gilbert, I think. That they could end up being anywhere. But I'll go a 5 there, and I'll go a 5 with Brian Wu with the 4 spot. Like, the jump that he made in terms of my confidence. Now, look, it wasn't like I was unconfident or didn't have confidence, whatever the word is supposed to be in Brian Wu. But as you watched him pitch deeper into the year, you couldn't help but feel more confident. Now, there were some clunkers, for sure. And there's some durability issues here, too. But because of the 4 guys ahead of him, and it's really 3 right now, and we'll talk about that in a second, it doesn't matter as much. If he can give you 140 innings of what Brian Wu is, you're golden. That's a wonderful position to be in. And It won't shock me if it takes a step up, if he's more of a 160, 170 type inning guy. Whatever he gives you, like, as long as it's not like 100 innings or something like that, you're golden at the back of your rotation. Absolutely golden. I'm going 5 there. So let's split George Kirby and Emerson Hancock. Emerson Hancock, I'm giving a 2. George Kirby, I'm giving a 3.5. Now, the reason for the 3.5 for Kirby is, yes, they're saying all the right things about it being precautionary. I need to see him on the mound. Baseball teams lie. And I'm not calling Jerry Dipoto or Justin Hollander a liar on this situation. I'm calling it baseball teams lie. There have been a lot of situations like the Robbie Ray one where it was just inflammation. It was just a little tricky. Should be back throwing in a couple weeks. And look, George Kirby's already resumed throwing. The fact that he wanted to get back on the mound is another reminder that everyone who is criticizing this dude is an idiot in terms of his toughness. It won't shock me if he's back in May. I need to see it. And Hancock at a 2, you could argue a 2.5. I've loved what I've seen from him in spring. And if you take away the Colorado start, and we've talked about this a lot, Emerson Hancock was much better than those numbers suggest and what the Savant numbers suggest. It really was a case of a couple of starts just destroying those numbers. I think he's a perfectly fine 5th starter. But boy, to begin the year, I'm sure glad that they have the 4 guys ahead of him. I mean, worst comes to worst, and I don't think they would do this. I think they would go to a different arm if they have to. When you can skip, you can skip. But assuming that Kirby is going to be back in a month, and assuming, this is an ERA of 5.4, which also tells you that ERA is sometimes a little bit of an overrated stat. Not a little bit, a lot of it. If he can give you 5 innings of 3-run baseball, great. If he could occasionally make that 5 innings of 2-run baseball or 6 innings of 3-run baseball, you feel better. But I think Emerson Hancock is a fine 5th starter. It's disappointing that's what he is, because you took him with the 6th pick of the 2020 draft, and, the stuff just really hasn't advanced. A lot of talk about his sweeper looking better. We'll see. We'll see. I need to see it in games, like real games. But I think that's fair. The only reason Kirby gets a 3.5 is because of the injury concerns. When he's on the mound, he's awesome. One of the best young starters in baseball, one of the best command artists in baseball, certainly one of the best control artists in baseball. Command and control, not the same thing. We've talked about it a lot. But that's where I'd go. And in terms of depth behind those guys, I'd probably go a 2. I don't trust Jonathan Diaz. I really hope that we don't have to see him start games for the Seattle Mariners. Logan Evans is probably that next man up behind those guys. I don't think it's ready. He looked great in the first half of 2024. I don't see it for 2025. No. Hope I'm wrong. Well, I hope we don't see him, because it would mean an injury to somebody else, or Emerson Hancock stinking. But if he shows the same stuff he did in the first half of 2024, yeah, it's in the conversation. But it's not something I'd really rely on. I think if there was another injury to this pitching staff, and boy, hopefully you can hear me knocking on that wood, you'd probably have to go make another move. Yeah. But this starting pitching is phenomenal. I keep saying it's the best starting pitching staff in baseball, and then I forget that the Dodgers got Blake Snell and Roki Sasaki. So no, it's not. But it's the second best, and it's certainly the best of the American League. It's not even close. They're in a tier all by themselves, especially with all the injuries the Yankees have to that pitching staff right now. Like, the Yankees have a good pitching staff when healthy, but no Garrett Cole for all of the year. Clark Schmidt injury, Luis Heel injury. their depth has been tested very early on. I like the Kansas City pitching staff, but the Seattle Mariners are clearly at the top of that list. Bullpen, I'm going to do it a little different. For closer, I'm going Edwin Diaz. Edwin Diaz. Wow. That was a little bit ago. I miss Edwin Diaz. My grandma really liked Edwin Diaz. She had a nickname for him that was not meanly. She called him Flatface just because of his nose, but she really liked Edwin Diaz. I like Edwin Diaz too. Andres Munoz, I'm going to go 4.5. I can't quite get to 5, and I don't know why. Because it should be 5. But I'm going to go 4.5. Just because his command last year, I think, stunk at times. But he's as good at missing bats as any reliever in baseball. And this new change, if it's able to be used in regular season games, and, I'm a skeptic with some of this stuff. I'm a skeptic when I hear best shape of his life. I'm a skeptic when I hear new pitch. I'm a skeptic when I hear new swing path, all that stuff. Because a skeptic when I hear they're going to work a drive line. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But boy, that pitch looked good. Just watching video of that thing dropping down with that much vertical movement. And when you have to be cognizant of 100 miles per hour on top of it. Yep, that stuff is special. It's just about throwing more consistent strikes. But I'm going to go 4.5 for that. The rest of the bullpen, I'm going to go 3. I was thinking about 3.5, but I'm going to go 3. In part because I need to see Matt Brash on the mound. A lot of I need to sees today. We need to see Matt Brash actually in games. And I will be worried about Matt Brash until, he's deep into the season pitching for the Mariners. There's a lot of effort. There's a lot of movement on those pitches. And you see a lot of those guys have injury issues. It's also worth pointing out that Matt Brash struggled to throw strikes before he had a year-long layoff. And now it's over a year long. That's not great. And that could lead to issues, right? Gregory Santos, I need to see. I need to see it. I need to see that same stuff that he showed with the White Sox. He did not show that same stuff with the Seattle Mariners when healthy and obviously when not. And if he is your third best reliever, that's great. There are times he's going to need to be their second best reliever. He's going to have to be their high-end guy. I have a little bit of doubts. That fastball just doesn't have a lot of movement to it. And it's been hit hard. The slider's great. I'm a little bit concerned about that. And if Munoz went down, I would be really concerned about the closing position. Because neither Brash nor Santos, I believe, has the command to be a closer, a traditional closer. The guys behind those, I think it's fine. Colin Snyder, I want to see him repeat it. Hey, I want to see it. But everything he showed last year suggests that he's a very solid relief pitcher. Solid's probably an understatement. A lot of good reports about Gabe Spire this spring. Taylor Sassetto has looked fine this spring. Both those guys good enough that they end up releasing Drew Pomeranz. It wouldn't shock me if Pomeranz came back. I haven't seen anything. If he's already signed with another org, just forget I said this. But it's a fine bullpen. I don't think it's quite the bullpen they had in 2023. I think it's better than the bullpen they had in 2024. And that bullpen was an issue at times. If Brash is healthy, if Santos is the guy from 2023, this bullpen could be elite. There's a little bit of volatility there. It's a little more high ceiling than high floor. In fact, it's not a little bit. It's much more high ceiling than high floor. It'll help when Troy Taylor comes back. Hopefully, you never know with that stuff, but that'd be another nice high leverage arm. They're talented. In terms of talent, I think this bullpen competes with any, if not beats it. No, the Dodgers. The Dodgers are stupid. I don't blame the Dodgers. It's insane how video gamey they are. One of the best rosters, if not the best roster I've ever seen from a Major League Baseball team. They won't win 120 games or anything like that just because they won't take the regular season as seriously, I think. And they'll lose some games. They'll lose 50 plus games probably. But I mean, that rotation and the fact that they'll probably get Ohtani pitching, it's stupid. This is a Mariner video, sorry. So yeah, overall, I'm giving the starting pitching a 4.5. I don't know if I gave that number earlier. And then I'm giving the bullpen a 3. So that's a 7.5 out of 10. And it seems weird. It seems like it should be an 8 at least. But that also tells you, look, the bullpen number is not nearly as important. If we weighted these things, the starting rotation means so much more. I'm not saying the bullpen isn't important, but if we weighed these things, the starting pitching grade means so much more than the relief grade. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Who are you the least confident in? I'm going to do another video today on my predictions for the season. And then I am going to go live for the game tonight. It might be a little later. We might be 7:30 instead of 7. Got to cover a couple of games, but yeah, looking forward to it. And of course, recapping every single game, just like I've done the last 2 years. Pitching's good. Pitching could be great.